Jiggy.
He's realizing
I'm not gonna
Jaguar
do that. I'm just
is
gonna.
better than me.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm totally serious about
I'm talking on the liner.
Jiggy
I'm talking
Jaguar.
over the liner. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio program. 44 minutes after the hour. I'm talking over the liner, kids. I'm doing radio. That's what we do here. Reno in the building.
Yes.
Room 347 in the building. Which, by the way, that was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
They are what dreams are made of when you're trying to get the cops called for a noise disturbance. I love it. And that's why we do that here. And the thing is that this is a local drug infested neighborhood, so we can do things like that here. It's not a problem. And we've got, that's just what happens here. I opened Facebook a few moments ago, and
Let's talk about it.
my buddy, the Mr. 2000, the Mr. 2000 show, puts up a video about 17 minutes ago. He shared Amos Christensen's post. And it was, whoa, hashtag go ahead grandma. And it is apparently a grandmother. I guess the best thing you could say is getting bent over onto Facebook. And I don't know what this is, but he shared it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I don't know what I don't know what they are, but I share them too. But I would never share this.
I wouldn't either.
But
You know.
it got us to talk about it,
Yeah,
which
you
is
know,
the point.
Yeah.
And I love Mr. 2000. Listen to him at the Mr2000show.com and find him on the Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and all that other fun stuff. Now, I also there is another story that is going on, and they actually shared this, and I wanted to talk to you about this, Reno.
Okay.
Is the fact that apparently the 42 Below was closed in Wichita. They continue to fight for glass pipes. They apparently are reopened in Wichita.
Okay.
And downtown smoke shop, it's a hell of a deal. Less than a month ago, after being forced to be closed due to changes in the city's drug paraphernalia enforcement,
Right.
42 Below is reopening Friday at 11 a.m. Jeremiah Wilson, who says he's reopening his smoke shop, which is East Douglas, just east of Washington, to pay bills and to fulfill the lease and to take care of business. We have to sell something. We have to do business. Previously, the store specialized in locally made hand-blown glass pipes, and Wilson says he wants to be allowed to sell them once again. This comes from Kansas.com. We're in the middle of negotiations right now, he says, of his lawyer in the city. We've gotten a great response. I remember the last time that someone tried to sell some things like this in the good old Salina, Kansas area, and the military was called in. So hopefully the military is not being called in on 42 Below.
Wow. Now, see, my understanding was they were making it to where everybody had to sell. All smoke shops had to sell their equipment, had to sell their smoke pipes, whatever.
Yes.
They could sell whatever else, but they couldn't sell pipes, the bongs, anything like that. So that's changed?
Apparently, let's see here. We'll go ahead and
protesting going on Snapchat.
oh,
You know,
they're
I see,
protesting on Snapchat. Fantastic. That is awesome. Oh my God, I'm gonna hold a protest on Snapchat later.
I mean, no, I mean.
Wilson says he believes the city's issue is with the crack and meth pipes, which he calls items that hurt the community. It's mostly the gas stations that sell these kind of items. He says his pipes, some of which are as much as $2,000 for tobacco use. It's not just glass pipes, Wilson says. It's art. It's what we do. That's why it's such a big deal. He says meth and crack pipes have straight tubes that aren't able to hold tobacco. Wilson says it sounds like the city could be open to tobacco glass pipes. They really don't have an issue with that in particular. spokesperson for the Wichita Police Department couldn't immediately be reached for comment, of course. Until the issue is resolved, Wilson says he'll resell. He'll sell e-cigarettes, papers, incense, and local art. That's about it,
So
really,
you sell
until
paper.
further notice.
You sell paper.
He says he's laid off most of his staff.
Oh, wow.
Says they're all gone. If he can't sell pipes again, Wilson says he likely will close for good. He says he hopes it doesn't come to that. We're staying optimistic, See, this brings up a point that I have to make on Salina, Kansas, the home of Salina, Kansas. There was a gentleman who had a store there, and it was the hell was that place called? The Grind. We filmed a thing called the Cypher Show there.
Right.
With Cash Hollister. That's 2 Cash Hollister references in the same show. Thank you for keeping track at home. And basically what took place is this guy had he was selling speaker stuff. He was installing speakers. He had a little coffee shop in there. He was selling little sandwiches. He was doing all sorts of things. Cappuccino, mocha frappa nonsense. And he was doing all this stuff. And then he was selling these little bags full of potpourri is what he called it. And I'm like, what is this? So me and Ross Long, the rabble-rousing ringleader,
Herbs and spices.
KFC was not involved in this one, but so we was asking him, we're like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I make my own potpourri stuff instead of selling pot, or instead of having my kids addicted to pot, we sell potpourri. And so people started buying this potpourri from the Grind. Well, and eventually people started putting other stuff in it. And so then they would get sick. And so then they would yell and scream at this guy. And so essentially what happened is at one point, and you guys don't have to leave. You can hang out on the couch while I'm bashing the city of Salina here and everything. But I'm sure they've heard of the Grind. At one point, this Eric who ran the Grind, he had a few people. He had the city come across the street one day because he's right across from the city building.
Right.
And they're like, we don't like you. We want you to go away. So here's a contract, and here's a check. And fill out the check, whatever you want, sign the contract, go away.
Wow.
Well, he told him no. Well, leading up to this, he started having the health department show up and check his sinks every day. And at one point, he tells the health department, he's like, don't you get tired of coming in here? And they're like, well, we're just being told what to do. We're just following orders. Oh, and by the way, you might want to check your trash because they're going through your trash. Well, then he goes ahead and he paints up the side. He paints the building up, all psychedelic. And it has like things like it would look like if it, I don't know, what the hell is that show on Adult Swim? Super Jail. It looked like someone basically drew the Super Jail cartoon all over the Grind. And so at one point, the city comes across the street. They hand him a contract, and he's like, well, let my lawyer look this over. And they're like, no. Of course. No. So he takes the contract to the lawyer. The lawyer says, if you sign this, you can't open another business in Salina for 5 years. He was getting ready to open a hookah lounge, and he was also getting ready to open another version of the Grind somewhere to start selling more potpourri. He had a delivery service at one point where if you wanted to buy it, they would deliver it to your house. I had, and I can say this now because Ross is in Colorado, so the story can be out there. One day we were sitting at the Treehouse apartment across the street from the police station, ironically, and we had Action Corey, who was my camera guy. He was kind of a weirdo, but of course he hung out with me. But Action Corey was jonesing for this potpourri stuff, And he tells Ross, he's like, they deliver, man. Just order it. They deliver it, man. And Ross is like, I'm not going to have that crap delivered here. He goes, I've got real pot in the car. I'll just go to it. And he goes, I don't want real pot, man. I want the potpourri stuff. So he never got his potpourri stuff, basically. Well, then at one point, people started demonstrating across the street for the grind because people would buy this potpourri. They would go home and they'd mix a bunch of crap in it and they'd get sick. And then they blamed Eric for this.
Right.
Well, at one point, we told Eric, why don't you just wholesale? No. He's not just going to wholesale. He wants to have his storefront. Well, then he starts parking all of his nice, expensive cars out in front, basically giving a big finger to the city. He was parking like Lamborghinis and Firebirds and all these expensive cars, Hummers. I think he had like a Hummer limo or something. He was making so much money that he could buy a Hummer limo, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, I wake up one day and I get a phone call from, as Johnny Kim likes to say, James Brockaway. Well, James Brockaway called me and says, by the way, the military is at the grind. And I'm like, you have got to be out of your frickin' mind. So I hot-foot it down to the grind, which is across the street from the city building.
Right.
And they've got the military surrounding the building. What had happened is the police chief or someone in the police department of the city of Salina ran to Topeka and made up some BS story so that Topeka sent in goddamn military.
Oh, wow.
Well, then, that same day, I'm driving around with my mom because we're going to go out to Gutierrez to have a lunch buffet.
Right.
And then the military's patrolling the streets because they're trying to find this guy. And she's like, there's an awful lot of military in town today. And I said, yes, because they're looking for a fake pot dealer.
Oh,
And so they find him. They punched holes in his walls. They took his cars. They did all sorts of crazy shit to this guy. And they put him in jail. And then they made a law in Topeka and then prosecuted him on that law. The attorney that me and Ross had when we fought Access, Julie McKenna, went to court and she says, you can't do that. That's not legal. And they're like, we're going to kind of do whatever the hell we want.
Oh, wow.
And so they prosecuted him on this law. Well, he got bail and got out.
Uh-huh.
And instead of doing like we told him to do, which is just stop this crap for a little bit,
Right.
His son and him got caught running this potpourri crap to Colorado, and they got nailed on the highway, and they threw him back in jail. And then they prosecuted him on their brand new law they have, and he's in jail now. I think that guy's doing more time than a bank robber.
Wow.
And bank robbers get like 20 years.
Oh.
And so the whole place, I think it's now a pawn shop or something. It's like across, they completely painted up the city. The city painted up the building. They took the building. They took everything. And I think it's a pawn shop now.
And he is still in jail.
And he is still in jail.
What is his son doing?
Great city of Salina, Kansas.
Yeah. I hear you don't mess with Salina.
You do not mess with Salina, Kansas. My God, you don't mess with those
I hear
people
that
up
a
there.
lot.
And you know what's funny about it is that when I lived in Salina, I thought it was a Gestapo, which it is. And I moved here, and you've got 50 car wrecks a day here.
Yeah.
You look at all the cars, they're all beat up on the sides because nobody pays attention. And I'm like looking around going, you know, that Gestapo's not so bad. It's not so bad for giving somebody a $150 ticket from pulling across the white line at the intersection, which, by the way, that happened to me. I got a $150 ticket from pulling across the white line at an intersection.
I want to tell you something.
And I'm like, what? That's half a car payment.
I got a ticket yesterday.
So
I got a ticket yesterday. You brought the ticket up, and see, I was moving past it, and now I'm upset again. I can't hear songs so I can be happy. I mean, my God.
you know what's funny is that when my mom first moved to Salina, this is hilarious. When she first moved to Salina, she had a broken tail light, and you know we're from McPherson. She's like, yeah, at McPherson they don't care. In Salina, oh no, they care. So what happened was she was getting like stopped by civilians. There were people in their cars pulling up next to her, wanting to roll down the window, and they're like, "You got a broken tail light out. You better get that fixed. You better get that fixed." And she like, and it's like all these people were in fear. She's like, "What the fuck?" And finally, she goes out to Walmart and she goes get it fixed, and they're like, "How long's this been broke?" She's like, "Oh, a couple months," and they're like, "Pfft, and you haven't been pulled over and ticketed yet?" And it's like everybody. Kenny Zombie Jones. I'll bring up Kenny Zombie Jones' name. Kenny Zombie Jones got a $200 ticket for urinating in public outside of Big Nose Kate's one night, which I would assume that probably you should probably get a ticket for urinating in public outside of Big Nose Kate's. And it's zombie, so it's even worse.
I just seen.
If Romy was here, Romy Lee would say, "Just throw him away.
I've never
Just
seen
throw him in prison. We don't
anything
care."
like that. But I went to Rock Island and I seen a guy, and I'm like, okay, they got, the police are gonna be out, but I went to go see a performance, and I seen a guy pretty much right in front of, he wasn't in front of the door, but he was just like at the corner, and he's just, and it wasn't trying to cover it up, have your pants, bare ass and everything, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I need to go home. Or I need to go in because obviously
they're using the streets as the toilets out here, Reno.
Yeah, wow, did I really just see that? And
so like I said, it's a weird thing, but getting back to the whole thing here, basically 42 Below is not being allowed to sell pipes.
Wait, but they can sell anything.
But they can sell papers and anything else.
Okay. I don't understand that because I know Cloud9, I'm just saying, they had, is it called potpourri? Because theirs was just different types
Well,
of stuff.
this is another thing. After Eric and Salina got tossed away, and they had their new law, they basically the state of Kansas banned this K2 stuff is what they used to call it, K2.
Okay.
I used to just refer to it as fake pot because that's what it was.
Okay.
And so it was K2 or potpourri or whatever.
Okay.
But that's basically what happened, is that it was all just
But I don't.
let's get rid of it. It's the thing about Salina, which
And I have to ask, do y'all have any comments about Salina?
you have to
Don't
understand.
parts of it?
You have to understand that in Salina there are if there are certain people that make money and are allowed to make money, and if you're not one of those people, you're not allowed to make the money. And Eric wasn't one of those people, so he wasn't allowed to make the money.
Okay. Wow.
And so, and plus something else, instead of just, see, this was the thing that me and Ross asked him one time. We said, okay, how much do you make off your wholesaling? Just selling it to people.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I make like 15 grand a month. Or 15 grand a week. It was some god-awful weird number. I'm like, what are you doing?
I understand him not.
And then we were like, just get rid of the storefront. And he's like, no, I got to have the store, man.
Yeah. I mean, I understand both sides of it. I mean,
So-
if it's going to get you in trouble, why not get rid of it?
Well, he kept telling us at one point that there were people that were on the city commission that were coming across the street and buying from him.
So if you have that,
And so they were worried.
building.
I think maybe they were worried he might just release some names and, oh, blah, blah, blah was in here buying potpourri, and then they can get shamed and all that stuff. It's kind of like, and I'm going to get in trouble again. Here we go. It's kind of like,
Not taking me down with you.
there is a group in Wichita, and I will not name them. We all know who they are, but there is a group in Wichita that is trying to get the payday loan industry thrown out of the state of Kansas. Well, I got a little clue for you, people. That's the fix is in. It's not going to happen. Because the guy in Topeka, who is in charge of the payday loan industry and regulating them, has outside interests in payday loan industries.
You know what? The problem.
He owns a payday loan company.
The problem that
He's not going to be shamed into leaving. And they're like, well, we're going to shame him. Yeah, he's going to go open his checkbook and be like, a lot of shame. And he's going to turn around and go back his way.
But the problem I have with the company that you're talking about is that they choose to shame the people that get those loans.
That too.
That's what
They went into places with video cameras and shamed the people getting the loans, and I'm like, what are you doing?
you don't do.
They're already embarrassed about being
Right.
in there.
Right. So why would you shame the people instead of offering them help or other options? That's what you do. You offer help, or set up an organization to help the people that need it versus shaming them. That's my only opinion. And
That is that. We are going to wrap up for today. I'm going to get out of here before I get anybody else in trouble.